for the Burning River Sportscast. Absolutely no fight, no heart, and no emotion in this team. With the lack of a franchise quarterback on full display Sunday on the shores of Lake Erie, the guards stretched it to 5, but could stretch it no more. And we break it all down for you next on the Burning River Sportscast. F them all. I'm officially on the Dayball bandwagon.
Dayball.
I'm on Dayballs.
Let's start with Joe Woods. Our defense is trash.
Let's end with Joe Woods.
Yeah. Let's end it with Joe Woods. He's officially in the trash bin. Fire Joe Woods. Trending again on social media. It's trending here. It's always going to be trending here. Fire Joe Woods. F that guy.
Welcome to the first ever Burning River Sportscast remote pod presented by Tappan Media. I'm Kenny Thunder, reporting from beautiful Gulf Shores, Alabama, with my partner and lifelong Pog collector, Red Hot Ronnie Jams, in the sound studio back home. Ronnie, where can our listeners find the goods?
Oh, they can find the podcast wherever they get their podcast, Kenny. In case you're wondering where that is.
I am wondering.
It's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Castro, and more.
Nice.
How was your weekend, Kenny?
So it was good. I'm in Alabama.
You sound unsure.
I'm in Alabama. I'm in beautiful Gulf Shores, a place known for its amazing sunsets, which was just going on here. But my partner, Red Hot Ronnie Jams, took a little long getting set up in the sound studio back home. So
now you're a floating head with some lights behind you.
Y'all missed that. That'd be the pool. We are oceanfront here, but we do have a pool with some pretty cool LEDs going. So hopefully that'll keep your mind busy during the show.
My lighting's a little bit better here in the studio. So
yeah, this is my iPhone light. That's what I'm working with. I have thousands of dollars of video and audio equipment in front of me, literally on a picnic table here in Alabama, and my lighting is coming from my iPhone.
He forgot to pick up the Halo light. Oops.
And I literally had to go buy a new solid state drive today. So I was literally at the Office Depot. I should have bought something. Yeah. Bad job out of me. I didn't know we were going to miss the sunset. So
oops. Yeah, my weekend was pretty good. Other than the Browns really let me down. It was a pretty bad weekend for sports in my world. So the Browns lost. The Guardians played well, but they ended up losing Sunday. They lost again today. We're recording on Tuesday because we wanted to see what happened with the Guardians game. But they lost Sunday. The Browns lost Sunday. My nephew was in a championship game for his football team, Little League football. Lost.
Feels bad.
Yeah, my wife's coaches a soccer team. They lost. And basically everybody that I know that plays sports or that I root for lost this weekend. So it was not good.
So you got that going for you.
Yeah, so kind of like we have been doing the last episode, and really we should have been doing it longer next. The Browns are just depressing. We're going to go ahead and start with this. For the land.
For the land.
Okay, so as we mentioned, the Cleveland Guardians. First of all, let me just go ahead and get this out of the way since we had to wait until today to do this, even though we were supposed to play yesterday on Monday. Again, recording on Tuesday. It's pretty obvious that the MLB caters to these big market teams, huh?
Yeah. I thought that the biggest Guardians news on Tuesday was that the NYCFC advanced to the conference semifinal after defeating Inter Miami 3-0 in New York, just down the road from Yankee Stadium last night.
Oh, it's weird. Game 5 was delayed due to, I'm going to air quote it, due to threat of weather. What does that even mean?
The MLS is officially full of tougher guys than the MLB.
I could have told you that. The Yankees bullpen, though, in case anyone was wondering, was completely shot. This game was supposed to be a complete bullpen game in which the Guardians have the overwhelming advantage. Instead, all of that was neutralized by the extra day of rest. We had to face Nestor Cortez and the Yankees bullpen that ended up being mostly rested because of that extra day, and we got destroyed.
Yeah, and that was the thing, right? That was kind of how we've played. We've played smart, fundamental ball all year long, and part of that was managing your rotation effectively. And we were built for that, but that was taken away from us.
Yeah, we managed our rotation much more effectively than they did because we have a much deeper bullpen. But it didn't matter because the MLB came in and saved the day for the Yankees.
The evil empire. The evil empire strikes again.
They just really wanted to see that Yankees-Houston matchup.
I don't even care who wins at this point as long as the Yankees lose.
I hope they both lose.
I just hope the Yankees lose. I hate New York.
I'm officially rooting for the NL.
F the Yankees. F them all. F the AL.
But I will go ahead and give Oscar Gonzalez a shout out. So the Guardians played a total of 6 playoff games this year. Oscar Gonzalez had go-ahead or game-winning runs driven in 3 of the 6 games. So,
yeah, a tremendous playoffs for him. It's just for the entire ball club. I mean, even at this Yankees series, I think if you looked at the stats, at least going into Tuesday's closeout, the Guards had more hits than the Yankees. It was just missed opportunities, not getting guys around. But it wasn't like they played bad or were outclassed in this series at all. No,
and they had them on the brink for a couple games. And really in game 4, like you said, we missed a couple opportunities and we really should have put them away in game 4. But
they had opportunities today. They had guys on bags. They just couldn't get them around.
Jose Ramirez missed a grand slam to tie the game by, about 15 feet or so. It went foul. But I think this shows that small ball can still compete in the MLB. Home runs are nice and they can definitely change the game instantly, kind of like the Yankees showed in this series. But I don't think it's the end all be all. I think other teams can compete. So,
well, and if things like pitching matchups mattered, if the MLB cared about those rather than the long ball, but that's I guess matter. For another day. But still a great season. Proud to be
so much fun watching these guys this year.
Proud to be a Guardians fan now. I think this was a really cool year to see that team go out and compete on a nightly basis and have the run that they did. Huge success on the season. The only thing that kind of makes me sad about this is Tito hasn't been in great health the last couple of years, thinking about the future and how many more years do we have with Tito? Because ultimately, I do think he makes the unassailable difference for that team in that locker room. So I think just considering that is kind of it hits me hard. But hopefully, we get a few more good runs with that guy.
Yeah, we've definitely been lucky to have him. Like I said, it's so much fun watching these guys play this year. They all play together. They play for each other. They say it day in and day out. They're playing for their city. They're proud to be on a Cleveland sports team. And basically what I take from that is the Browns really need to start taking lessons from the Guardians, right? I mean, this is... Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a team that was never out of a game. I mean, the amount of walk-offs and just the energy they kept throughout the entire season, throughout every game, throughout the playoffs, they were never out of it. Everybody loves to call the Browns the cardiac kids and all that. We love to relive that nostalgia, but the Guardians live it.
Yeah, there's a reason that, especially into the playoffs, they adopted the name the Guardiac Kids. So that's one thing that about the name change that lends to a really cool nickname for these guys, especially the way they played all year. But as far as the Browns taking lessons, I mean, this is how you take pride in your craft, pride in what you do, pride in the product you put out on the field for your city night in and night out. And like you said, anytime you think they're down, they find a way to get back in that game. Whereas the Browns, they just kind of roll over. So
they're good at rolling over.
Yeah, well, they're dogs. So I think Tito probably needs to go have a long chat with Kevin Stefanski and really teach him how to manage a ball club. And for that matter, I think Sandy Alomar needs to go teach Joe Woods how to support his team as an assistant coach and thing or two. But
yeah, can't disagree with you there.
But they are the youngest team in baseball. The Guardians are. I think they're going to be successful for some time. They've got a lot of promise. They're probably going to look into adding a big bat in the offseason, maybe bringing another arm or two, and that could be free agency. That could be their farm system. We all know that their farm system is super deep. So just good things coming for quite some time for the Guardians. They should rule the AL Central for a while.
Yeah, they're poised for several years to come. And, I just look forward to, hopefully what's a productive offseason for them and getting them right in line to run it back and do it again next year. I think next year will be very similar to this year. I think it'll be a lot of ugly wins, a lot of close wins, a lot of late wins. But hey, that's what I'm here for. I love that kind of ball. So excited for it, and just an exclamation point on a great season with this run in the postseason. And sad to see it end, but just congrats to the Guardians. What a great year.
And thank you so much. On to the Cavs. Still got Donovan Mitchell.
And we actually have some NBA basketball coming our way. I think tomorrow is the season start.
Opening day is tomorrow.
Opening day, baby.
For the hat. Just in preparation for the NBA season to kick off tomorrow night. So it's almost time. And then again, their home opener is Sunday. So we'll actually have a couple games to talk about when we come back and record. So
yeah. When I get back to the OH.
IO. So let's go ahead, and with that, we'll jump into the Week 6 recap.
Do we have to do this recap?
I don't want to. So here's the deal. It's official.
I'm on vacation right now, man. This is the last thing I want to do is talk about how bad this Browns team is.
I know. I'm not on vacation. It's the last thing I want to do is talk about how bad this Browns team is. So, I mean, like we just said, it's official now. The Browns are a bad team this year. They're bad. Our expectations were too high. Maybe not yours. You were right. You said they weren't going to be very good, but changes need to be made, and they need to be made soon or now or yesterday. But I don't know. Let's just go ahead and get into the game because I don't want to talk about it.
It's just so hard because on paper, this team should be good. So when you think about making changes, what do we need to change when you have the right players? It's just a matter of,
You sound like Kevin Stefanski. Oh, we got all the right pieces, but we're going to get it figured out.
I'm just saying, like,
put it together. We're going to get it figured out.
We've said, and I think rightly, that we were in a much better position coming into this year than we have been in years past. You have talent on this roster. You have cohesion.
With Jacoby playing, you figured we could still stay afloat.
You'd be close, but this team is looks like they're a long way away.
Nowhere near. So let's just, like I said, let's get into it so we can get out of it and stop talking about it.
Please, let's get out of it.
All right, so we'll start on the Patriots side like we always do. Start with the opponent. Bailey Zappi, 24-34, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and we had absolutely no answer for Netflix Mac Jones.
None at all. None whatsoever.
He was just dominant in this game, and I just don't even know how anybody should be able to say that Bailey Zappi was dominant in an NFL game.
I told you, man, listening to those guys last week, they came away impressed. They thought he was accurate with the football. They thought he had something. They seemed more excited about Bailey Zappi and Zappy Hour than I've heard anyone about Mac Jones since he came to town. So
that is a good nickname. Netflix Mac Jones is going to flip the script, become Zappy Hour, and Mac Jones is going to become Netflix Bailey Zappi.
I mean, he was the second coming out there.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest.
Second start.
He hit. I know he's playing the Browns, and like we just established, they are a bad team this year so far. 5 different receivers had at least 4 catches. He completely spread it around. We made him look like Joe Montana out there.
Something. He looked really good, and was making his second start. So something's wrong there.
He's just a world-class athlete.
I guess so.
Ramondre Stevenson, 19 carries, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 receptions, 15 yards, and his backup, Tyquan Thornton, 3 rushes, 16 yards, a touchdown, 4 catches, 37 yards, another touchdown. So for the running backs for the Patriots, we have 4 touchdowns total.
Yeah, and Ramondre, I thought it was kind of a little bit underwhelming in this game, but Bailey Zappi played so well that it wasn't like he played bad. I mean, sure, certainly in a game you have 2 touchdowns, you feel pretty good about that. And he had around 20 carries in the game, but I thought that we would see more from him. So they did hold him in check somewhat throughout the day. They just couldn't keep him out of the end zone in the goal line. So, and I don't even know who Tyquan Thornton is. Again, just another no-name guy that comes in and is just putting points on you.
I saw that one differently in my mind.
We couldn't keep anybody out of the end zone. Let's be honest. I forgot to change my note here, but the Patriots defense, 4 sacks, 8 QB hits, 4 turnovers forced, and we really didn't put up a fight at all. So I don't really put that on the defense for the Patriots as much as I put that on the Browns. Just decided they weren't coming to play this week.
Yeah. It was just an embarrassing effort. That was the thing. It was an embarrassing effort. We've seen this team scheme against other coaches and other defenses pretty effectively all year long.
Ones that are far better than this one.
Yeah, and they just there was no heart across the board in this game, and it was embarrassing.
I agree. So let's move on to Cleveland because you didn't like we talked about. I want to get through this as quickly as humanly possible. Let's start with Joe Woods. Our defense is trash.
Let's end with Joe Woods.
Yeah. Let's end it with Joe Woods. He's officially in the trash bin. Fire Joe Woods. Trending again on social media. It's trending here. It's always going to be trending here. Fire Joe Woods. F that guy. Bailey Zappi. I'm just going to leave that there. Bailey Zappi just torched you, Joe Woods. Just piss poor. Just so bad.
I don't even know. I don't even know what to say at this point. I don't want to say I've been a Joe Woods defender.
A little bit. I mean, but not really a defender. It's more of a sympathizer.
Something serial killer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you fire Joe Woods tomorrow. I know you've contended that no one is a better coach than Joe Woods is, in no person.
When we say that, I will reiterate. I mean, nobody. Like, if nobody was our defensive coordinator, that would be better than Joe Woods.
Like, if just no one showed up on Sunday, that's an improvement.
Put the headset on, like like a tackling dummy or something. That guy is better than Joe Woods.
But like, you're not like, if we fire Joe Woods tomorrow, Bill Parcells, Sean Payton, Rex Ryan, like none of these guys are just walking through the door tomorrow to be like, hey, I have a plan for your defense. So
Rex Ryan would never walk through the door for the Browns. He hates us.
I'm just thinking about just anybody that's not Joe Woods.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Here's the deal. Joe Woods keeps talking about, have you heard his post-game press conferences? He's like, I'm not really worried about job security. Well, maybe that's the goddamn issue. Like, what do you mean you're not worried about your job security? You give up 400 yards to Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
Probably be worried about your job.
I mean, here's why I think he's not worried.
Because the guy we're going to talk about next won't do anything to him.
Doesn't care. I mean, think about this. Think about if you reported to a guy that had no idea how to do your job or anywhere close to your job, had no interest in doing your job. You feel pretty secure. Yeah,
from Kevin Stefanski's perspective, he's probably like, I don't know anything about defense. It looks like it's doing all right to me.
Yeah, it seems fine.
Good.
We just got a few miscommunication issues and a few technique issues. We'll get that sorted out and be great.
Here's the deal. Kevin Stefanski, don't worry. He's going to get it figured out.
Won't happen again. He's got to be better. He's going to get it figured out.
Listen, how many weeks in a row? I'm talking to you right now, Kenny Thunder. How many weeks in a row could you go to your day job, tell your boss, hey, man, I got to be better. I'm going to get it figured out, though, before they would fire you? How many weeks in a row could you do that?
I'm going to go with 0.
Right. That's most of America, especially, people that aren't getting paid millions of dollars to do what they do. They can't go to work every day, every week and say, I got to be better. I'm going to get it figured out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you get one free pass there if you really screw the pooch on something. But if you screw the pooch once, you don't do it again. No more screwing of the pooch.
Screw the pooch once, shame on me. Screw the pooch twice.
Can't screw the pooch no more.
Yeah. Listen, I know that you've had him on the hot seat for a while. I think Kevin Stefanski is officially on the hot seat for all of Cleveland. not only are we garbage right now, his team, if you watch this last game, looks like it has completely quit. And I mean, at this point, I'm posing the question, has he lost the locker room or are they still behind him?
Oh, yeah. Look, I think this is going to be a really interesting end of the season, because last year, you know what we had in that locker room? You had a really convenient scapegoat. And we were able to say, OBJ and Baker just didn't get along. Oh, if Baker plays better, this team wins. Hey, look, you went out in the offseason. You said you wanted adults in the room, and that was going to fix it. Hey, Jacoby has played, outside of Sunday, has played pretty well. And you still had a losing record.
He's played better than Baker did last year. And that's not a shot at Baker. That's just saying, like,
sure,
you've gotten more out of him.
Yeah,
I mean, still losing. Guess what they did? Guess what they were going to do last year too that they never did? Get it figured out. Still haven't figured it out.
I was lost on that one because they never figured it out, so that was why I was so confused.
Yeah, it's year 3 and they're still trying to figure it out.
No, but I think that seriously, it was so convenient having Baker here last year because you could mask all of the little things that Kevin Stefanski wasn't doing right, and you could blame it all on that guy, and you turn the whole city against him. And fine, you did it. You win. He's gone. He's out. He sucks now. He's hurt and he can't play. Great. Baker's done. Nobody cares about Baker anymore, though, because now that spotlight, that iPhone light is shining on you in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and everybody can see all the warts and all the shit that's wrong with you.
Not good. Not good when you get the iPhone flashlight. Here's the deal, too. I haven't debuted it yet. Pretty soon here on our social media, we're going to be debuting a Cade York confidence meter, which it got a big boost this week, but we'll talk about that.
Boost it up,
later.
baby.
I'm going to be putting out a Kevin Stefanski confidence meter to go along with it. So that will be tracked every week, and it's going to start out very, very low. So he's going to have to win us back. Yeah. All right, let's get into the offense, and let's run through this quick, Kenny.
I'm in.
Jacoby Brissett, 21 of 45, 266 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Interception on the first offensive play, another one on the first play of a later drive. Not efficient at all, did not play well enough to win. He basically did the opposite of what he's been doing all season in this game, but he had to throw it 45 times.
And some of that, some of that's play calling, right? Yeah, Jacoby's thrown the ball 45 times.
Not to give him a pass. We think Jacoby should play better. Let's just put that out there.
Agreed.
But why is he passing the ball 45 times in a game?
And especially early on, right? The interceptions both came early.
Here's the deal. Why are you ever starting a game with a throw? Why?
I don't know.
Like, it's the best running back in the league. It's easy.
In the league. Run the damn ball.
It seems safe. And I think Nick Chubb in his entire career only has 1 lost fumble, if I'm not mistaken. So
I don't care if he fumbles it 3 times a game. He gives us a better chance to win than anyone else.
True. I will say this of Jacoby, too. Like I said, we're not giving him a pass. He should have played better. That's fine. After the game, he took ownership of the entire team and supposedly delivered a pretty strong message in the locker room after the game that most of the players seem to respect. And even like Jack Conklin came out and said, yeah, I mean, he stepped up and it's up to us to respond now.
You know what that does for me?
Probably nothing.
Sorry, I was so angry that I messed up my microphone and turned it down. What that does for me?
You should take a step back from your microphone.
Maybe it's too hot now. You know what that does for me? Absolutely nothing. It's just a big wet fart. You know why? Because Jacoby's not going to be here come week 12, so nobody gives a shit that he thinks he's in charge right now. Because in about 6 more weeks, ain't nobody going to care that Jacoby Brissett's even on the Cleveland Browns roster.
47 days, in case anyone was counting.
So you can take all the ownership you want because no one cares.
Yep. Nick Chubb, not a great day for him, but it wasn't his fault. It was all Kevin Stefanski. 12 carries in this game for 56 yards. So 12 carries. Let me remind you, Jacoby Brissett threw the ball 45 times.
Yeah.
12 carries. 12.
Look, even when I get that we were down in that game, but I think when you're down, especially when you're down, look, you're not built to play from behind anyway. So when you're down in a game like that, you need to just go back to doing what you do well. Because if you're on the path to losing and you lose putting up a fight, I can live with that. If you start doing things that are out of character, that don't make any sense, that don't make sense in the game plan, and you don't have the players to execute, then you end up losing the game by 20 points. You feel real bad.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Up until later in the game, we were never out of it far enough to where we needed to abandon the run.
Well, no, shoot. I mean, what it was like 24-15 with, I don't know, 6 or 8 minutes left in the game. Like,
yeah, what are you doing? And speaking of our running backs here, 4 carries, 12 yards for Kareem Hunt, and that was pretty much it. And let me tell you, of 67 offensive plays that we ran, Nick Chubb was on the field for 31 of them, and Kareem Hunt was on the field for 30 of them. What are we doing?
We keep talking about that. I have no idea. I have no answers for that.
And it's nothing against Kareem Hunt. We like Kareem Hunt.
Oh, love Kareem. But Nick Chubb is the best player on the field.
Linked up, bro. Synced up.
Sorry, yeah, we're without being able to see each other in the studio, it's harder. Our chemistry's off.
So I'll just run through all the receivers here. Amari Cooper, 4 receptions, 44 yards, 1 touchdown. Okay game. DPJ, 4 receptions, 74 yards. Njoku, 3 receptions, 58 yards. David Bell, my player to watch, 1 catch, 13 yards. They really don't like that guy. No. And who was your player to watch last week?
My player to watch was Ramondre Stevenson.
Well, he got 2 touchdowns. So you got our offensive line this game. They've been playing well all season long, but they gave up 4 sacks and we only had 70 yards rushing. So I guess they decided to stay at home with the rest of the team this week.
Yeah. I think Amari and DPJ both played all right. I think DPJ made a couple of difficult catches, but
those are the ones he makes. The ones that are difficult.
But neither one of them did anything to help us win. Right. I mean, there was no spectacular play there. And I think even watching them in the running game, they looked just as lethargic and tired and bored as everyone else because quite honestly, I think that locker room I think someone let a big wet fart in the locker room. I think that's where they're at right now. They're waiting for it to clear.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, let's go ahead and go over to the defensive side. We'll again go through this quick. Not good. I guess I could just leave it at that. It was not good. But Myles Garrett had 2 sacks. We'll talk more about him in a minute. Nobody else on the team with a sack. Gave up 300 plus passing yards to Bailey Zappi. Again, I'll say that for like the 10th time. Bailey Zappi.
Barnum and Bailey Zappi just out there running the whole circus on us.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely nothing of note on defense outside of Myles Garrett. Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, Myles, I saw PFF rated Myles really highly this week.
Oh, he's in a category all on his own. Like I said, we'll talk about him in a minute. But
I mean, it's games like that he has to play well, and I get that that's not fair because we're going to rip him when he doesn't play well, and he doesn't get a lot of praise when he does play well. But that comes with being the best, the face of the defense, the face of the team, the franchise player. Sorry, life ain't fair.
I agree. So moving on to special teams, like we said, Cade York bounced back 3 for 3 field goals and a couple pretty long ones. So he had a really good bounce back week, especially after the city of Cleveland decided they were just going to throw him in the dumpster last week, put everything on him. It wasn't his fault. We made that clear. We did not think it was his fault. Sure, he should make his kicks, but everybody liked to blame him this past week, and he bounced back well. So the confidence meter is now at a respectable level again for Cade York.
And he's still he's always at 11, 13 for the year. He's made a couple kicks over 50 yards. Like, he has plenty of leg. He's plenty accurate. He'll be fine. He's just got to continue to build consistency. He's a rookie. It's week 6 or 7. So I think you just got to stick with him. He'll be fine.
Yep. Chester Rogers returning punts and kicks again this week, and he probably lost his job. So he muffed a punt and killed any comeback hopes we had late. Although we probably didn't really have any comeback hopes then, but whatever we did have.
You took a turn on Chester Rogers. There were so many people that I blamed for that loss, and you came right out and said he muffed the punt. He cost them the game. No chance of a comeback because of Chester Rogers.
I mean, let's be honest. We at least had a glimmer of hope at that point, and then he came out and was like, "Here, you guys want the ball back?" At like the 6-yard line or whatever the hell it was.
See you later, Chester.
I mean, honestly, dude is fighting just for a roster spot week to week, and he did this. I mean,
you can't do that.
He's out.
Fair. I just didn't expect you to come that hard at him.
Sorry. I don't have nothing against Chester Rogers, in case anyone was wondering. I actually thought he did a pretty good job up until that. But I mean, when you're on the bubble on the roster, that's what kills it. So run through the overall real quick. Total yards, Browns 328, The Patriots 399. Time of possession, Browns 24:55. Patriots 35:05.
And I think that's the first time all year that we haven't led in time of possession in a game. So, I mean, that right away kind of tells you just
we abandoned the run.
Yeah, we weren't playing our game.
Nope. Defense was trash. Offense was trash. Kind of feels like a turning point in the season, if you ask me. Like up until now, even though we were losing and things weren't going our way, it felt like we were close. It felt like you could almost buy into Kevin Stefanski saying, we're going to get it figured out. We're going to get this thing going. But watching that game, it really felt like they quit on just everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, from here, it's pretty damn hard to imagine any route to the playoffs from here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I texted you midway through the third quarter, and I was just like, this team looks like they've given up on the season. That was how bad it was. So unfortunately, I had to gamecast the game this week because I had such a busy Sunday with all these Little League games and stuff. And I was going to go back and watch it later. I didn't, in case anyone was wondering, because I caught enough of it that on the gamecast and then through the highlights that I was getting that you could just see it in their body language. It was bad. It was ugly. It was bad.
And here's the deal. I mean, at the pace at the rate we're going, we're not even going to be within striking distance for Deshaun Watson to come in and save us like everybody has been saying he's going to. So.
No, I mean, I think the conversation is going to quickly turn from, is Brissett maybe the better choice for this season because he's playing so well to do we even put Deshaun out there because why risk getting him hurt in a lost season?
Well, and I disagree with you there because right now everybody in Cleveland is calling for Joshua Dobbs to start. So,
well, Dobbs, Brissett, whoever, I just think the question is going to be: does it make sense to even put Deshaun on the field? I think you want to because you want to get him with reps on the offense, but find me a quicker way to fire Kevin Stefanski than for Deshaun Watson to tear a CL in week 16.
You never tear
in a game that means absolutely nothing.
I can't do it. So coaching continues to be a big problem. Like we mentioned, no heart, no emotion. We've now lost 3 in a row, and it's starting to really look like you were right and I was wrong. And well, first of all, you were right and I was wrong for picking this game. But as far as the season goes, it's starting to look like we're not nearly. I didn't think we were going to be, phenomenal by any stretch of the means, but I thought we would stick around 500, and that's starting to get away from us. It's starting to be hard to stay around 500.
They just look so bad.
And last week I said that the Browns are not a bad football team. They're just bad at winning games. I take it back. Right now, the Browns are they're a bad football team.
I take it back.
The only other Browns notes I have for this week is Bernie Kosar smashed the guitar. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I like Bernie. You got nothing against Bernie and his arthritis commercials.
His 216 jersey looks weird.
Just quick note, editor's note. It's unseasonably cold here for the next day or two in Gulf Shores, and I'm outside, so that's why I keep wiping my nose. I did not just bump a line of Coke, just in case anyone was wondering.
You're on vacation. I don't buy it.
That's what I do on vacation. Just so much Coke, all the Coke.
Every 20 minutes. All right, so that brings us to the Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week.
I'm a dog now, though. Who let the dogs out? Dog mentality. Come on now. I'm coming in to kill right away.
All right. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I was on the verge of not giving anybody Dog of the Week this week because we played so bad. But
don't disagree with you.
But I do have to. We ended up going with Myles Garrett because I will say he had 2 sacks. A multiple sack game is not easy. So he had 2 sacks, and he is now the franchise leader for sacks. So he's officially the greatest pass rusher in Cleveland Browns history.
Yeah, I mean he's really good. Congrats, way to do it in a meaningless game that felt bad at the end of the day. So, awesome.
Yeah. His win rate this year, though, has been through the roof. We mentioned that earlier. He's kind of in a category all his own. He's getting double teamed more than anybody by far, and that win rate is still the highest. by far.
Yeah. I mean, he should be impossible to block.
Yep. He did aggravate his shoulder sprain this week, but he says he's all good to go for next week. So
hopefully.
Now that game's over for us, let's go ahead and do the division roundup. All right, here we go. The Bengals beat the Saints 30-26. This game was close throughout, but the Saints offense stalled late, and the Red Rocket was not able to get his revenge on his former team.
Yeah, that was disappointing the way that game ended. I still am not a believer in the Bengals, but hey, they look better than us right now, so whatever.
Yep. Yeah. So the Red Rocket, though, he is who they thought he was in Cincinnati. That's why they let him go. So
he's got great hair.
Yeah, Burrow played pretty well in this one, though. Their defense is, they're playing average. But I mean, they're playing well enough to win, unlike our defense. So I was right in that one. Kenny was wrong.
I don't know what to make of the Bengals yet, but
nobody does.
Like I said, they're better than us now, so I guess I have to put some respect on their name.
Yeah, throw some respect on their name. The Steelers beat the Buccaneers.
This was a wild week in the NFL.
Let me start off by saying this: the Steelers are trash,
absolute trash.
But let's be honest here. I think it's time to start actually calling it like we see it. And Tom Brady is a complete shell of himself this year. Like, he's nowhere near the Tom Brady that everybody expects to see out there. Has he won a game for his team yet? Like, gone out there and just won a game?
Look, obviously there's a lot going on in his personal life. Antonio Brown's creeping on his marriage. Giselle's not happy.
I was disappointed we had no more AB news this week.
So I do think Tom's in a weird place emotionally. But I also know that I've spent my entire lifetime trying to count Tom Brady out, and it's still early in the season, and he hasn't had his full complement of receivers for most of the year. My guess is Gronk comes out of retirement, saves the day. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl by the end of the year.
Do you remember when Gronk came out of retirement and the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl?
I wouldn't put it past him.
Nah, I mean, the Steelers defense did what they usually do. They were solid. They kept them in the game. And somehow the trash Steelers now have the same record as the Browns. So let me just say this. If you're a proponent of the transitive property, if the Steelers are trash and they have the same record as the Browns, then
we are also equals trash.
Yeah. I mean, that's you have to go that way, right? So
I think so. And look, I'll just say this about the Steelers real quick. I don't want to talk about the Steelers. I hate the Steelers, but still people in Pittsburgh that are like on the hate Mike Tomlin train. I don't know. You just beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Like
I said,
you guys are just the worst fans in football.
Please, I'm begging you guys, fire that guy, because I would love to not have to face him twice a year.
Yeah.
We were both wrong in that. I think everybody was wrong. I think everybody picked the Buccaneers.
All of Vegas, yeah.
So next up, the Ravens lost to the Giants. So apparently the Giants are good.
Apparently the Giants are good. Look, I think this was a litmus test game for them. We talked last week that I wasn't bought in on the Giants, but they are playing really well. The NFC East all of a sudden is like the most dominant division in football.
Yeah. The Ravens defense did play better this week, but Lamar Jackson kind of came back down to earth a little bit. He didn't have a bad game. He just didn't have the crazy numbers he's been having.
I think he didn't have a great day throwing the football, but he did rush for, what did he, 77 yards or something. So, he's still
like not a bad game, just not the numbers he's been putting up so far this year. So. Yeah.
And, I thought was interesting too, is Kenyon Drake had a big day in this game, 119 yards on 10 carries.
Talk more about him later, because the Ravens is who we're playing next week. So,
yeah, I hate the Ravens too. So great.
Yeah. But like you said, he did have a monster day for them, which means he's probably in line for another one next week. And so is J.K. Dobbins, and so is Lamar Jackson. But I was right on that one.
We stop no one.
Yeah, I was right on that one. You were wrong. So we'll just leave that there. Let's go around the NFL real quick. Do we got a song for that?
Yeah, of course.
Let's let it play. All right. Russell Wilson still trash.
Still trash.
They lose to the Chargers in overtime. Last week, after the game, they came out and said, he's got a lat tear.
This week, it's a hamstring.
It's a hamstring this week, and he's going to undergo an MRI. Here's the deal. Dude's not injured. Dude's washed. Just straight washed.
You're going there, huh?
Yeah, he's washed. Like, name me one good thing he's done this year. Just one.
Oh, no, there isn't one.
Yeah.
I just think I'm still hesitant to say washed entirely.
Dude's washed. So I'm glad the Browns didn't end up going to get him. Although if we did, because the Broncos, I don't know what I was trying to say, but because the Broncos are so bad, we would have been in line for a top 5 pick if we would have went and got him instead of.
Could have drafted a quarterback.
Yeah. Their whole team though, completely falling apart. Safety Justin Simmons came out and said, "Well, it all starts with leadership, and who's their leader?"
Oh yeah, I mean the clips of like the Broncos players talking.
Melvin Gordon and the receiver. I forget what the receiver was. They're just talking trash about him on the sideline.
That's never good. I mean, we thought we've seen some dysfunctional locker rooms in Cleveland. We have. I mean, with Manziel and with Baker, but things not looking good for Russell's, and it's not one of those things where you don't expect it from a Russell Wilson locker room. You would have thought those guys would be over the moon to have him, but. Nope. Like you said,
honeymoon
maybe
phase is over.
He's washed, and if you have a washed-up quarterback in his 30s,
feels bad. Melvin Gordon was pissed he got benched. Which, funny note here, I got autocorrected, and it tells me Melvin Gordon was kissed that he got benched with a K.
Nice.
But he was pretty pissed off that he got benched. After the game, he was out there liking all kinds of tweets about demanding a trade. And then while he was talking to reporters, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, I think I could have helped in the end, but I was on the bench. I don't know what you want me to do."
Yeah, I picked up their the guy that was supposed
to picked up the backup.
I picked up Mike Boone because Melvin Gordon wasn't doing his thing, but he had one carry for 1 yard. So Latavius saw a lot of action.
I think you first Melvin Gordon because last week he said it's not like Melvin Gordon came in and he's a little past his prime, but he. Yeah,
3 carries for 8 yards. Yeah.
Speaking of struggling quarterbacks, though, Taylor Heineke, I think that's how you say his last name, will be starting in place of the injured Carson Wentz. And let's be honest here, injury or not, it was heading that direction for Carson Wentz when Ron Rivera came out last week and was like, quarterback, that's what's holding us back.
Look,
it's gonna last very long.
I'm not a Carson Wentz guy by any means. But we talked a little bit before about how I think sometimes we're too quick to pull the trigger on quarterbacks.
Yep.
Because Carson Wentz is one of those guys that isn't just straight ass all the time. He's only ass when it matters. The rest of the time he plays, like, I think statistically he's a top 10 quarterback in like yards and a lot of other statistics. But when it comes time to make a throw on the goal line, he can't do it.
So he couldn't stand the heat, so they got him out of the kitchen.
With the game on the line, he's not the guy you want. He could put up a bunch of yards before that, though.
Yeah, and while we're spending some time here with the Washington football team, aka the Commanders, Dan Snyder just out there hiring PIs to figure out who's testifying against him right now. Shit's just getting wild down there, man. And get this, they're now saying that the NFL may actually have been responsible for the leaks of the confidential names of who's testifying against him in all these investigations. So
look, I, for one, hope this thing just devolves into the most just tragic mess of everything. I mean, look, I love the NFL. I love football Sundays. It's the best product on TV. But God, the farce that the Shield has become over the last 2 decades with Roger Goodell at the helm and how he can do no wrong. God, I would love to see that glass house just come down.
They're just so high and mighty up there in the league office. And
I would love to see it destroyed.
Don't throw stones, ye who lives in glass house.
I think that's part of the reason like Ballers had some success early on was, all the talk about, we're taking on the NFL, and the storyline went nowhere with Dwayne Johnson, but it was a good storyline.
Speaking of that show, that show was like the last season or 2 of that was the most it started out so solid, and then it was just garbage. It was just hot garbage the last couple seasons.
Oh yeah, I love
the last one season, but even the one before that is starting to get a little rough.
I think Dwayne just got bored with it, to be honest. Yeah. Because it seemed like he was more.
And the writers decided to go purchase the XFL. So
yeah.
Another struggling quarterback, though, Cooper Rush came back down to earth the last 2 weeks, and it looks like he'll be returning to the bench after a couple of subpar performances because Dak Prescott says he is bound and determined to return this Sunday, and Jerry Jones says he will start if he's ready to go against the Lions.
Look, I know we don't do a lot of predictions on other games outside of the AFC North. Here's my prediction for the Lions game. Dak and Dallas can win that game, but I think that afterward, Dak storms off the field full on Baker Mayfield and doesn't want to talk to the media because he thinks this is his coming out party, a lot like Baker thought it was last year when he was going to come in and just light up a bad team. I think this Lions team is tough. I think Dak wants it. I think he thinks that they're bad, and I think he's going to get beat up a little bit. And I think he's disappointed after the game.
I'm even going to add to that. I think Dak Prescott is a lot worse than a lot of people think he is. I don't think he's a terrible quarterback. I just don't. A lot of people have him as like upper echelon of the quarterbacks. I think he's just kind of average.
Oh, clearly not upper echelon. Yeah, agreed.
So one of those losses for Cooper Rush, by the way, was this week to the Eagles, who remain undefeated. I don't know.
They're good. I don't. The team kind of reminds me of
a playoff spot at this point. I mean,
the team kind of reminds me of the year they won the Super Bowl, where you're kind of like,
why?
I mean, Nick Foles, like, what?
Carson Wentz was the starter until he got hurt that year.
Do they just give out Super Bowls now? Like you go to the gumball machine, they give you one.
That'd be nice. The Browns would definitely not get one. They'd lose it even that.
Oh, we would find a way to lose at that for sure. We would jam the machine with a nickel.
Either that or. I was thinking the gumball that is the championship comes out and we drop it and it goes in a gutter down a drain. Like, damn it, there it goes. Speaking of teams that are not undefeated, the Panthers are still a dumpster fire. As you may have suspected, they aren't bad because of Baker Mayfield. They're just really bad.
It's just bad all around.
Yeah. PJ Walker came in and believe it or not, played even worse than Baker Mayfield has played up to this point. It got so bad that Robbie Anderson got into it with his own coaches on the sideline, got ejected by his own team, and then was instantly traded afterward to the Cardinals.
Instant trade.
Like, I think it was legit within half hour of the end of the game, they announced the trade. So,
yeah, that's a hot mess down there. I feel bad for the Carolina fans.
Yeah, not only those things, CMC is on the verge of being traded, so your only bright spot on the entire team is about to be gone. And then what do you guys have?
We've just been there so much as Browns fans that like I get what they're going through, and it's tough. It feels bad.
Yep. The Chargers benched J.C. Jackson this week after he got burned repeatedly this year. Dude signed a 5-year, $82.5 million contract in the offseason, just riding pine.
That's what they say about contracts in the NFL, right? Like you get paid based on what you did, not on what you're going to do. And it's kind of a broken system. I don't know how you fix it.
Impossible, because that's the only way to pay somebody, right?
Right. Well, yeah.
But if I'm JC Jackson, I'm just like, I
get $82 million. I love it on the bench. Yeah, no CTE for me.
And then, we have NFL football right now on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays around the holidays, right?
I love those NFL Saturdays.
Well, prepare yourself for Black Friday football presented by Tap In Media. No, I'm just kidding. It's presented by Amazon.
Wow. I was like, man, you were busy while I was out this week.
Yeah, no. It's going to be presented by Amazon. It's coming in 2023.
Did they do a Black Friday game last year?
I don't think so. I think this is the first one.
The first one.
Why it's a big deal, and there's so many people complaining about it. But I'm the opposite. I'm like, why don't we have football every day? But then every time I think about having football every day, I think that there's just probably more opportunities for the Browns to lose then. So
that's true. I can't wait for them to have 18 games of the season just so they can lose one more time.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna love every minute of it. And then I'm gonna come on here and tell you guys about how I hated it. So. And then last but not least, around the league, happy trails. Delaney Walker announced his retirement today.
Ooh, big tight end.
Yeah. So good, solid career. Don't know if he's quite Hall of Fame or anything, but solid career.
Yeah. He's not Hall of Fame, but if you had like the top 30 players that have just given the Browns fits for no reason, like he was one of those guys that he wasn't the biggest, fastest, strongest, best player on the field, but he always put up yards and touchdowns against us.
Yep. So that's it for week 6. Let's go ahead and take a quick revenue break, and then we'll get into week 7. Towpath Distillery. Towpath Distillery, the newest craft distillery in Northeast Ohio, located in Akron and family owned. Towpath Distillery focuses on high-quality spirits, carefully made in small batches. Towpath's lineup includes an ultra-smooth, award-winning premium vodka, a small batch silver rum made from the highest-grade molasses, an American craft gin made with 9 botanicals, and a blended straight bourbon made from corn and rye. Towpath Distillery. Visit towpath-distillery.com to find an agency near you where the spirits are available, and make sure you ask your local bartender and restaurateur. Towpath Distillery, handcrafted, small batch, local, and family owned. Towpath.
I've been in a lot of bars the last couple of days and restaurants. Just not the same without Towpath.
I feel it, man. Every time I leave the state. Right now, they're only in Ohio. Eventually, they will be expanding, but right now they're only in Ohio. And every time I leave the state, I'm like, I'm lying. I bring my own bottle.
It feels bad.
So let's go ahead and get into the week 6 preview.
I tooted.
Are you going to edit that out, or are you leaving that
in? I guess we'll find out.
Do we want to start with matchup previews? Do you have any opposition research for me? What do we want to do here?
Let's just jump into the matchups. We talked a little bit about Lamar this week. Here's our Oppo research. We talked a little bit about Lamar this week not having a great passing game. That's 3 weeks in a row that he hasn't had tremendous passing games, but still keeping things moving on the ground with his feet. J.K. Dobbins coming back, hasn't been healthy a whole lot this year, but is adds a dimension to their offense. Kenyon Drake's been playing well, but I think those all kind of are crossover. So forget what I said and let's jump into the matchups.
Yeah, so it fits right in. My first matchup is going to be the Browns front 7 versus Lamar Jackson, the running backs. And we've talked a lot about Lamar in this. It's actually probably a Lamar Jackson podcast, this episode, I guess. But he kind of bet on himself this year. It's a contract year. He's played great so far this season. He's got 1,277 pass yards on the season, 13 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, 451 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So, he's playing well. He's probably going to get that big contract. If the Ravens aren't going to give it to him, somebody will. And then, like I said, it's the front 7 versus him and the running back. So we got Kenyon Drake coming off a 10-rush, 119-yard performance against the Giants. And J.K. Dobbins, who you mentioned, hasn't been healthy to this point, but we know firsthand that he's a solid back and more than able to give other teams fits. So, yeah,
I would just say I would put my hand up first for let's get Lamar out of Baltimore and let him play for any other team so we don't have to play him twice a year. The only other piece there that I think in terms of opposition research around this team is that defense is bad. I think if you listen into the guys, people in Baltimore are saying, they don't have a whole lot of answers there outside of the fact that they just don't have the personnel that they had in years past. So there's not an answer coming, which is an opportunity for the Browns this weekend.
Yeah, what a brilliant segue that is, because my next matchup here, Jacoby Brissett versus the Ravens defense. So the Ravens defense is bad, like you said. Chubb should be fine. He should get his if he's allowed to run the ball.
Yeah, we let him.
Kevin Stefanski, don't F that up again. You're going to. The Ravens, the one thing that they can do on defense, though, is force turnovers. They have some turnovers forced this year. And, Jacoby, his kind of saving grace his entire career, not just here this year so far, has been that he doesn't turn the ball over, but he's kind of hit a rough patch where if you look at the last 3 games, he's 5 interceptions to 3 touchdowns the last 3.
Well, and you think about the last, take this week out of it. The 2 weeks before that, they were end of game turnovers and
I agree.
A little bit throw it away. But then this week it was just kind of sloppiness with the ball. So over the last 3 weeks, that it kind of looks bad.
Well, and I agree with you about them being end of game turnovers, that type of thing. But, turnovers, they kind of start to, once they pile up a little bit like that, they start to stick in players' heads. So,
you start to second guess yourself. And I think that's exactly what we saw on Sunday was those 2 were in critical moments of the game. All it takes is that little bit of uncertainty and it just bleeds into all of your confidence.
Yep. That's the second matchup that I have is Jacoby versus the defense. We'll see how he bounces back this week, or if he bounces back. Who knows? So as a team, the Ravens they've got a 3-3 record. They're currently the division leaders at 3-3, so that's good.
That's the one thing the Browns do have going for them right now is no one's running away with the division just yet. So if they can get it together quick enough before anybody else does, maybe there's still a chance, but this team just looks bad.
Yeah, so basically we need to find a way to contain Lamar Jackson. I know I mentioned the running backs as well, but really if you can you don't even have to stop him. That's your only rule on defense this week is try to limit the damage. However, I say that and it's an easy thing to say. Lamar Jackson's a great athlete, and even besides him being a great athlete, I'm just not real confident in this defense's ability to stop anybody. So,
fair.
On the other side of things, obviously the offense is going to need to bounce back. They've played well all season up until this last game. Get back to what you've been doing. Run the ball. Don't turn it over. Win the line of scrimmage. Going into this game, I hope the Browns don't feel like me because they just won't show up again.
Yeah. No, I think you're 100% right on both points. It's Lamar can't beat you by himself. You can't stop him. He's going to get his, but can you keep him contained somewhat enough that you can keep pace on offense? And the offense has to get back to doing what they do well, which is run blocking up front, mauling guys, creating big holes, and letting Nick Chubb just gash that defense because it's bad. If you do those things, you got a shot in this game. But
if you don't, you don't.
But we're not doing picks yet, so I guess we'll stop there.
Save that. The injury report for the Browns. Clowney, surprise scratch last week after he was back the week before. I didn't see that one coming, that he was going to miss another game, but he did.
Yeah, not a great sign.
So we'll see if he comes back this week. Myles Garrett, I mentioned earlier, did aggravate his shoulder in the game this past week, but he's come out and said he's good to go. Don't worry about him. Joe Haig, he missed another game with a concussion. We'll see if he could be back. I would think that it's probably getting to that time. Most guys don't miss more than 2 or 3 weeks with concussions, but sometimes they linger. So it's always hard. And speaking of concussions, Denzel Ward still out with a concussion. He missed this past week, and we'll wait and see on him. And then Deion Jones, I put him on the injury report just because he did get designated to return from IR with his shoulder injury. And there was talks that he may have been activated last week, but they wanted to give him one more week to kind of learn the defense and get his feet under him in Cleveland. So I think he could be activated this week and ready to go. He's activated and ready to go.
I thought that was interesting that they were considering bringing him back that quick. A good sign, I guess. I mean, I think that means he's healthy. But fair that there's no sense in rushing him back before he knows what he's doing, because I think having a a good athlete out there that doesn't have any idea what's happening. Probably it's just as bad as having bad athletes out there that know what they're doing.
I agree. So who's your player to watch in this one, Kenny?
So this one's a little bit interesting because I don't know that there's one player that makes the difference. If I was going to pick one player, it's Lamar. I think this game rides on whether or not he has a big day or not. But what I would say is from a players to watch standpoint, I think it's Browns inside linebackers. So if I would, can I say two? Can I say Jacob Phillips and JOK are my two guys to watch? I think if they can keep Lamar in check this week, could be a big day for the Browns. But if they get run all over and can't keep contained, it's going to be ugly. If it looks anything
like the last 3 weeks, we're in trouble. Great minds must think alike because I've got Deion Jones if he is activated. We desperately
need the help.
Yeah, we desperately need help on defense right now. And I just want to see, can he make an instant impact? I mean, did they go and trade for a reason? Because a lot of people were saying, he had the one good year and he made the Pro Bowl. But he really, hasn't, he had a down year last year. They weren't sure if maybe that was like a one and done type thing. Just want to see if he can make an instant impact. And I picked the second one just because we're not for sure whether or not he's going to be activated at this point. So I also picked Jacoby Brissett because I want to see how he bounces back from that bad loss. And the fans kind of turned on him this week. Cleveland as a whole.
They turned on that whole team because they were just ass all day.
Well, I mean, I agree. And I was just as angry as everybody else. But I mean, loud calls for Dobbs to play. And I think that's completely unwarranted given how well up until this game, Jacoby has, he's done everything he needed to make us 5-0 to that point.
And Jacoby's not the reason.
He's like the last reason why we're losing games.
Like he's a backup quarterback. He's come in and probably exceeded expectations. You know what Joshua Dobbs is? He's a backup to a backup. So you want to see bad football? Bring in that guy.
Yep, I agree with you. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna do our second revenue break here before we get into King of the North.
I thought you were going to duck your head all the way down, like, and then pop up with it. Oh, hey there.
Towpath Gin, a true craft American gin made in its own style. A blend of 9 botanicals brings a moderate amount of juniper with a citrus backbone. Layers of 7 other botanicals shine through for this incredibly well-balanced and high-quality small batch gin. Towpath Gin. Towpath. I usually hate gin. It just tastes like pine needles to me.
So much pine needles.
This gin I can actually drink. So that should tell you something.
What's your favorite gin drink?
I don't have one because I don't like gin, except for that gin.
Gin and juice.
Sipping on gin and juice.
Whoa. Yeah, Red Hot Rowdy Jams. Breaking it down. Breaking it down and laying it down on the Burning River Sportscast.
I got bars, whatever that means. All right. So let's get into it. King of the North.
King of the North.
All right, let's remind everybody of the tally. Let's add last week's games onto it. So last week I went 2-2. Kenny went 1-3. Another bad week for that guy. Kenny Thunder just bringing up the rear.
Okay, who saw Pittsburgh losing or beating Tampa Bay?
Nobody. But yeah, so that brings the season total so far. I'm 12-9. And Kenny is 10-11.
I'm still right there, man. Still
back
right there.
500 though. How's that feel?
Still right there. I'm within striking distance. I just like to keep it close.
You're doing what the Browns were supposed to be doing all season long.
That's right. Buoyant.
All right, let's get into our AFC North picks. Atlanta at Cincinnati. What do you see? You want me to go first on the first one? What do you want? What do you want me to do?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right, so we got Atlanta at Cincinnati. I still don't understand Cincinnati. I watched another game of theirs. I watched the replay of their game this week, and I still was just like, sometimes they look good. Sometimes they look really bad. I don't understand. I will say Joe Burrow is playing much better lately though. And Atlanta doesn't impress me. I know they beat us, but who hasn't? And I think Cincinnati starts to hit their stride here with a really soft stretch in their schedule. And this is going to be where the Bengals fans start coming out and talking some trash because their next 4 games, Falcons, Browns, Panthers, Steelers, it's about as soft as it gets.
Yeah.
Full-blasted. And so I think the Bengals win.
Fair. This Falcons team just still isn't very good. Their defense isn't very good. Losing Cordero Hodge.
It really costs you.
Losing Cordero Patterson has been a really difficult challenge for them over the last couple of weeks. No idea when he's going to be healthy again, if he's coming back this week or not. But that's been certainly, I think, a turning point in their season because they just don't have that franchise guy at quarterback, and their defense isn't strong enough to keep them in games. Still don't know what to make of Cincy. I still don't think that they're good, but I do think they have some momentum coming out of last week. Burrow does seem to be playing a little bit better. I think Cincy wins this one. Did you pick a score?
Is there a plane back there?
Did you pick a score, or are we not doing scores now? Just sometimes.
You can if you want. I don't care.
20 to 10.
All right, I'll give
Cincinnati wins.
I'll give Bengals 24-13.
Excellent.
All right, Pittsburgh at Miami. Here's the deal. Steelers are trash. 2 is coming back. I got Miami. Winning easy. I say by 14.
Are they in Pittsburgh or are they in Miami?
They're in Miami.
In Miami. We don't know if Kenny Pickett is coming back yet, do we?
He's got a concussion. Mike Tomlin said if he's able to go, he will be playing.
The Steelers are trash.
All of that just to say Steelers are trash. Tua's coming back. They said he should be playing this week.
Man, but I'm not confident.
I don't know why I'm trying to sway you.
I'm not confident that Tua is, even if he comes back this week, that he's going to be able to play the whole game. I think that dude has got mashed potatoes in his head. Do
you think he's just confused at this point?
I think he's scrambled eggs. Steelers win a close one. Steelers win it again. Steelers win a close one, 21-17.
That's not good, considering how we're probably both going to guess the Browns-Ravens game. Yeah, so the Browns at the Ravens. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I'll go first because at least you still have some level of confidence in this Browns team, but I am out. I'm out on Joe Woods. I'm out on Stefanski. I'm out on Brissett. I'm out on Miles. I'm out on just everybody at this point. Like, just disappointed. No heart, no emotion, no fight left in this group.
No little heart. You gave him the hard heart.
There's no heart left. This team is an embarrassment. They need to do something to curry some favor with this fan base. A win against the Ravens might help. But here's the thing. We haven't stopped anybody on the ground. And Lamar Jackson is a weapon unlike we have seen all year.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it tough. So I think what we talked about earlier, right? The matchup in this one is Lamar Jackson versus our backers, and whether that's the new guy Neon Dion, or whether it's JOK, or whether it's Jacob Phillips, like somebody has to stop that man. And if you can't stop that man, the game is over. It's already over. So I think Nick Chubb will play well. He'll rush for a bunch of yards. Jacoby will take care of the ball for the most part up until maybe the last 10 seconds of the game when we ask him to throw a Hail Mary. But we probably lose. We probably lose in a game that's a close one because honestly, I think this team mirrors the Giants team a little bit, just in terms of talent and the composition of the team. Not having a great quarterback, having a good running back, having a defense that does just enough. I think the Giants though are ascending, and I think the Browns are descending. I think we're at that inflection point where we're going the opposite direction, and they're trending the right direction. So I think this is a relatively close game, maybe a 4 or 6 point game, but ultimately the Ravens win.
Who would have thought that Brian Daboll instills more confidence than Kevin Stefanski?
I'm officially on the Daboll bandwagon.
Daboll.
I'm on Dayball's.
He's on Dayball's. Listen, here's the deal. The Ravens defense is bad. The Browns will be able to run on them. The Browns will be able to run on them if Nick Chubb is allowed to have the ball. But the Browns have just been absolutely abysmal all around. They're in a pretty bad place right now. You said I have some confidence in them, but it's kind of shot.
You pick them every week.
It's kind of shot, man. I mean, I can only pick them every week so many times until I realize that I am insane. I expect something. I do the same thing over and over and over and over again and expect something different, but it's just not different. I think the Browns have another tough day. I think this is where Cincinnati and Baltimore start to pull away in the division. I got the Browns losing 24-17. I think they still keep it close, like you said. And I think we're going to lose.
Man, Ronnie Jams turns on the Browns. Oh,
it's a cold day in hell.
That feels bad.
Yeah. So that'll do it for this week. I really hope we're both wrong and the Browns give us something to get excited about next week.
Yeah, look, I don't take any joy in coming on here every week.
Oh, it's
bitching about how the Browns screwed up again. They're my favorite team. They're my first love. I want nothing more but for them to just win every game and win it handily like I do in Madden. And my life would be so much better.
Look, I've said since I've been rooting for the Browns and was old enough to drive, if the Browns go to the Super Bowl, I'm selling my car so I can go to the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't think there's anything that I have to worry about, but
I'll sell my body.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do whatever it takes. I'm going to be there. Burning River Sportscast is going to take a week off because we're going to have to recoup from all the partying we did because they went to the Super Bowl.
Even if they don't win, just because they went.
Yeah.
But I'm there. I feel it.
Like I said, I want to get excited next week. So help us get excited next week, Browns. We want to be wrong. Speaking of next week, Kenny Thunder. What can we expect next week on the show?
What can we expect next week? Well, for one, I'll be in studio and I won't be remote. So the remote pod experiments. Yeah.
Will be over.
What I'm saying, but it'll be over.
I'll say this. I think it went fairly well. I mean, haven't seen the finished product, but just recording here, I think it's gone fairly well.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't know whether or not I'm gonna even get this put together or not because we're on the Gulf Coast. It's like a tiny archipelago. A lot of people call it an island. I think it's connected though, so it's more like a peninsula. I don't know, but the utilities and internet and stuff not great. So hopefully, I have enough megabytes.
It may take about 14 hours to upload.
To get everything edited and over to you to upload. So, but anyway, going back to next week, what can we expect? We won't be remote. We'll be in studio together again, reunited, and it feels so good. We will recap.
You're hanging on the fist bump there.
Sorry, I was flipping screens.
There we go. What a dick.
We will recap the Browns-Ravens game, hoping for a win. We will preview the Cleveland Cincinnati game. I guess I'm going to have to pay some attention to Cincinnati this weekend, figure out once and for all who I think they are.
Yeah. Because we need to know if they are who we thought they were.
Because I don't know still to this moment right now who they are. So that's what we'll do next week. And we will probably throw in a little bit of Cavs coverage, and we'll probably gush about the Guardians a little bit more just because it's still fresh.
Yeah. Feels bad that their run is over because it was just so much fun to watch. Social media, though, check us out. Tap In Media is on social media. That's a lot of medias, but they're on social media. Facebook and Twitter, they are the Tap In Media. Instagram, it's Tap In Media Official, and then Burning River Sportscast. That's us. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram, Burning River Sportscast, and on Twitter at Burning River Pod. You could also find us on YouTube by searching Burning River Sportscast. Don't forget to check out the podcast itself. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Castro, and more.
Wherever you find your podcasts.
Yeah.
Since I am in the Gulf Shores, I did want to leave you with, we've been eating a lot of shrimp.
You guys wait, hang on. Before you get there, are you guys at like Floribama Shore? Are you going to go find the people on that show? Like, is that where you're at?
We are on the quieter side of the peninsula.
You could go across the way and be like, "What's up, guys?"
But we are not far from Floribama.
Worst show of all time, in case anyone was wondering.
We had lunch towards that way today over in Perdido. So
nobody's cool as the Guidos.
Guidos and Perdidos.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've been eating a lot of Gulf Coast shrimp. That's obviously a huge industry down here. Shrimp fishing. Obviously, you should go back to Greenbow, Alabama. Nice. Bubba Gump Shrimp Co.
You've been in Alabama this whole podcast, and you just now got
my first Forrest Gump reference.
Come on.
Yeah. So I just wanted to leave you with this parting wisdom that the average lifespan of a shrimp is 1 to 6 years. Most people don't realize that shrimp can live up to 6 years. It's a long time for that little sea cockroach to be out there. So
that is a long time. Tell those Alabama fans to F off.
Oh man, it has been like a funeral this week.
You went the perfect week.
It's
Alabama. F them all.
It's funny out here on the islands because I don't even know if they're islands. My Gulf geography is like not up to par. They keep saying island. There's a bunch of like island grill restaurants and stuff, but I don't think it's an island. I think it's connected. Anyway, I don't know the geography,
Alabama,
but what I do know is that as you drive through here, these rentals obviously are all just massive, like multi-million-dollar buildings that they can rent on Airbnb and VRBO for way more than they're worth. And
call it VRBO and not Verbo.
Verbo, whatever, I don't know.
Good old VRBO.
There's no vowel in Verbo to make it Verbo. Just the O. So, whoa. You can't even say that. You need a vowel. Anyway, the point is, I believe that a good part of this population is like transient investors from all over. So I have seen this week a fair share of UT flags flying and a lot of these houses out here. So that's been kind of neat. I didn't realize really until I made this drive, like they're kind of geographically set up a lot like we are with like Pittsburgh, with Pennsylvania. So I think that obviously Alabama's been so good for the last 20 years, but I think that rivalry runs a lot deeper than I even realized. But I have seen a lot of UT flags this week, which has been fun. But yeah, it seems like a lot of folks down here have been pretty down.
You talking about the Alabama UT rivalry?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's good too. I think the Alabama Auburn rivalry is actually
oh yeah, I think
that usually gets second as far as when they do all the polls for best rivalries in college sports. It's usually Ohio State, Michigan, and then Alabama, Auburn.
Oh yeah, I mean, and like I am more familiar with the Auburn rivalry too, right? Like that's the one that I think of. But I think because Tennessee has been asked for a while, it hasn't mattered. But that being said, I also have seen a lot of
16 years.
I also have seen a lot of people wearing Auburn shirts down here. I think just to rub it into all the Alabama fans.
I know I would.
So yeah, so that's been fun. So anyway,
the longest sign off ever.
Shrimp can live between 1 and 6 years before they get caught in Bubba Gump's net and into my belly. And that doesn't sound like just a part of the problem. You don't be just a part of the problem. Be the whole damn problem.
Yeah, and only you can prevent river fires. That's it.
Burning River.
Remote pod.
Burning River.
Sportscast. Burning River. It's the Burning River. Let's go.
Burning River. Burning River. Burning River. I'm going to stop recording now.